Started watching iRobot. I guess I'd never seen it. I thought I'd seen it. How old is that movie? Very young, buff Will Smith. And it's justifiable fear that robots are gonna, develop minds of their own and take over. Anyhow, I fell asleep watching it. I was watching it on the newly set up living room. So, to give you an example, like what I say, how even when she's discharged and supposedly well, presumably well, I guess well is a relative term, pretty much for any of us, but she'll be like, for the last time around, when she went to the hospital for 6 weeks, you had me go into the hospital. You called the police on me. No, I didn't call the police on you. I simply shared with professionals what was happening with you. And you weren't hospitalized for the 6 weeks prior to that because you weren't bad off enough. And people hoped that you would get better and you'd snap out of your self-starvation mode and depression and, anyhow, all I was doing was going, no, you weren't just going to the bank. You're free to go to the bank whenever you want. You were walking, miles or over to the bank, over, far enough to the bank, hours before it opened, in order to get out hundreds of dollars to take one of those taxis, the ones that just go to the airport, take one of those things and fly to California to meet your imaginary supermodel boyfriend and start a new life with him. See how you stopped me, I went into the hospital just because I wanted to go to the bank. I don't think so, Mama. So you see why I say she doesn't grasp why she needs to be hospitalized? Of course she can go to the bank. It's not about her going to the bank. It's about her being and that came suddenly after weeks of the opposite of just being depressed and not wanting to eat, and nobody hospitalized her. People saw her in person. No one hospitalized her for that. They hospitalized her when she became manic and delusional. But this time it was instant mania and delusion, and it progressed very, very quickly, and that's how it is. So it's only when she's putting herself in danger that she ends up hospitalized. So, anyhow, it's my job to be the bad guy. If I wasn't here to be the bad guy, sure, the people probably, she might get away for longer with her fantasy delusions, but eventually they would come forth. I mean, many years ago I found out from Auntie that my mom actually was interrupting the church service when my mom was very unwell, and got in wanting to, interrupting literally the sermon or something, requesting to sing a song, and you know what I mean? So she's eventually around people. She would, she might last longer if I wasn't here with her delusions and fantasies, and she also has it's a million times easier for her to get fucking hurt or killed, So, there you have it. When she's hating me, that's what it is. I'm the buzzkill. I have to be these days, When I wasn't in charge, it was a different matter. Entirely different matter. never just called the police on her. That night I did. It wasn't, they didn't take her anyway, but that wasn't for psych. That was, I shared the psych with them, but it was totally medical. It seemed like she was having a stroke, and come to find out, since she has had 3 small ones at some point in her life, that ones she was unaware of, just like Dr. Glassman on The Good Doctor was unaware that he'd had 1 stroke. He had no idea. Then that might have been a stroke she had that night, when she was not knowing who I was and saying I was her dead sister, and when I wasn't able to awaken her. Even screaming her name, which is not common for my mom. Me shaking you and screaming your name and you not waking up, you damn straight I'm calling 911. If I could wake you shaking you, that'd be fine, even if you don't hear me screaming your name. But I was screaming her name at the top of my lungs in terror and shaking her. And then, even then, she stumbled over this table, but by the time they got here, she was able to say who I was or whatever, and they just said to me, some of these people sleep deeply. Of course, that's just what you're going to say. That's why no one takes me seriously, but when I get professionals involved and they talk to her themselves, so I could be, you know what I mean? You could say, someone could think, they know I'm not lying, but let's just say I was. Let's just say I was trying to give him, and I was saying, blah, 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 whatever, okay? All they had to do was talk to her, and she doesn't realize she's being evaluated, because in her mind and and whatever, she just thinks someone called her just for the heck of it, or called her because of her repeatedly bumping her head on the chandelier, right? She doesn't know she's being evaluated, and she'll just have diarrhea of the mouth and spill everything out, and I get validation because they confirm how she is. They don't even have to see her in person. They automatically Section 12 her. Automatically, okay? A social worker who I've been crying to, talk to someone else who has their own, you know what I mean? And that's it. It was a done deal. But I'm glad it wasn't just based on anything that I said. Even though I'm telling the truth, I know my mom's in danger, and that's it. But they were able to confirm everything, okay? Just by talking to her on the phone. That's all they needed. Because originally it was, when they're just talking to me, do you want a clinic, do you want someone to come out and talk to you and your mom? Like, yeah. But then they went up talking to her on the phone, and they're not coming here. It's an automatic. Because if they came here and talked to her, they'd still have to call they skipped the middle part, okay? They skipped the middle part. Which tells you that I was not exaggerating. I was not trying to get my mom hospitalized. You know what I mean? Any number of things. Her mania was putting herself in danger. Technically putting me in danger too, but goes with the territory, I suppose. But I just want to stress that that's even when she's well. So, it's heartbreaking for me that my mother's not capable of understanding that she has to be hospitalized. And to her, it's betrayal, She can never understand that it kills me to do it to her. She knows it never killed her sister. And her sister, like I said, would outright lie. I got proof of that when the sister wanted me to back up the sister's lies. My mom needed to be hospitalized. So in the sister's mind, when she was here, when she was in charge, and she was like, well, we need her to get help, right, Laura? We need her to be, yeah. Well, then we can lie. No, I'm not lying. They can the police can decide to take her without backing up your lies or not. Yes, I totally agree she needs to be hospitalized, but I'm not going to do it by lying ever, 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 Oh, and another thing I'm going to do, I told you the things I'm going to do. I rearranged the living room. I didn't do that for my mom. I think she'll like it. It's just something different, right? I think she'll like it. It's not anything she could do. She's not strong enough. I wish she hadn't been strong enough to move the dining room table. Anyhow, I also plan to, so another reason, I remember I said I'm not doing any food order. And that's not for money reasons. That's just, I'm going to eat what's here. This is pretty empty. I threw away all the leftovers because I never labeled them. And, you know, we're not so poor. We have to keep these mystery leftovers that were some delicious concoction, you know, delicious to us, delicious, you know, my mom liked it, whatever. Any of the concoctions I make, like chili and whatnot. But anyway, I don't know when I put them in there. I just tossed them all. And now it's nearly empty. I want to thaw this all out and get that ice that's down there. Maybe if I finally do this refrigerator and really thaw everything out, get that ice out, it won't come back. You know, I don't know. That's why we have this thing under there from leaking this big chunk of ice down that bottom with stuff stuck to it. So I'm going to do that. Like I said, just eating what's here, which means I'm really not eating much at all, and that'll be good. I'll be able to lose some weight. Definitely going to do the kitchen floor on my hands and knees. No, I haven't heard from my mom. I don't know how many days we usually go before I hear from her. Haven't heard from her. Of course, I've talked to professionals there. You know what I mean? That goes without saying. But I haven't heard from my mom specifically. So as usual, the place will be spotless when she comes home. I'm hoping it's not a long ordeal like the last time was a really long time. Because again, these are different circumstances, so you can view it maybe as like a tune-up or something. I don't know. I can't know because it's not in my control. The only thing in my control is to tell them 100% the truth. That she was doing great, that these were triggering life, you know, traumatic life events, and she's human. She can even, I can guarantee you, me crying and everything like that, she's depressed over Omar dying in front of us suddenly, unexpectedly, and also she's affected by me, by how distressed I am, you know, over Omar. And when you're that fragile, then, you know, sad. Thin line between the people who remain strong, even if it's by the skin of their teeth, and the people who succumb and break and even go further than that. So I found out about world famous superstar Sinead O'Connor, who was, you know, around my age, but in her younger days she was a world famous superstar singer. I don't think she wrote her own stuff. I don't know, but she's an incredible singer. And not every singer writes their own stuff. Even when, as we've established cynically, they get credit, like they can contribute one word and then they get credit on the song. But, you know, we know nothing compares to You Should, right? Because that was a remake of the Princess song that made her famous. Anyhow, I found this out, I didn't know. because Sinead O'Connor's not my thing, okay? I recognize her, that she was, you know, she was famous a long time ago, and she was world famous superstar, and hauntingly beautiful voice, etc., etc., okay? Everyone knows who Sinead O'Connor is. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Maybe the younger kids don't. They probably don't have a clue who she is. Okay, so her son Shane committed suicide in January of 2022. So, a little over a year ago. Okay, less than 2 years ago. Last year is what they're saying. Sinead has other kids. She also gets married or what. I don't know. She's had 4 marriages. I don't know anything about her, but I'm going to find out about her when she probably may have committed suicide. So like a lot of troubled artists, she had substance abuse problems. She created some dark video in a motel room. I don't know, that might have been after her son died, when she's saying, why do we all have to be so alone? But what I did find out via Inside Edition, where it said, I didn't remember this part. I remembered that she's attempted suicide 8 times. It's not 8 times in her life. It's not like Sylvia Plath, who tried to kill herself and then finally succeeded. You know, how many times throughout her life. Sinead O'Connor attempted suicide 8 times in a year, and I'm going to presume that was probably after her son committed suicide. She wasn't able to get over it. She was not able to get over the suicide of her son, her light, her world, or whatever, even though, again, she does have like 3 other children or something who are alive and well and want their mother. She may have been married too, but she's had 4 marriages, 5 marriages, something like that, 4 or 5. So she may have been married, she may have whatever. She's not able to get over the suicide of her son, and she's naturally a person who's, you know, continuously, like so many people, hanging on by a thread. I should say so many people, particularly these days, especially these days, hanging on by a thread. So her family doesn't want anyone to know. They're not giving cause of death. But you add it all up, and people are speculating, as am I. I wasn't speculating that until I found out all about her. I had no clue. Had no clue. Had no clue. If I knew about her son's suicide, it had gone to the back of my head. I mean, suicide is common. Even, you know, suicide, she's hardly the only superstar who's had someone commit suicide in their lives, you know, so, and she's hardly the only superstar who may or may not have committed suicide, or, you know, it could have been a combination of whatever, but fact is, I know about her now, and it's looking like, even though the family doesn't want to say, it's likely that that's what the cause of death was. I would presume, simply based on all the evidence at hand. That's why they say people who really, really want to die, even if you prevent them, they'll eventually succeed. I've read that in books by experts. You know, if you really, really want to do that, you're going to succeed. You're going to find a way. And someone who tries 8 times, okay, is really trying. There you have it. This is the crock pot that's going to be thrown away or given away to charity if somebody wants just this part. I already threw away the bottom part. Like I said, I'm not one of those, oh, well, you know, it might be okay, so I'm going to leave it intact, let somebody else risk it, and what if they risk it, and unbeknownst to me, something horrible, a tragedy happens because of it. It's in the garbage, it's gone. This is still perfectly good, but do we need to keep it for anything? No, we do not. It's just clutter to me. If I can't use it as a crock pot, I'm not going to keep it to like store things in or put, you know, I'm not doing it. It's going in the garbage or it's going to charity. It's not staying in this house. I don't want it anyway. It's just a reminder of what my mom did, you know, cooking the cord inside. It was this plugged into here. this cover's on and the cord was partially inside cooking, and of course cooking on high for hours, the cord got a little brown. Thankfully there was no fire, that's all I could say. There could have easily been a fire. Could have been a disaster. My mom was never going to, she was cooking noodles and broth. Did it even need to be cooked on high for all those hours before I discovered it? No. But what if I wasn't here? What if it was one of my all-day things where I'm gone all day and don't come home to the nighttime? You know? Could have come home to a fucking fire. The house burned to the ground or whatever. But, you know, it just doesn't matter. That alone isn't going to get her hospitalized. Okay, it was a combination of things. It was what happened the day she got hospitalized. Okay, it was progressing. And clearly she wasn't going to snap out of it. It had already been 6 days. But she does snap out of things miraculously. I don't know. Don't know how it happens. I just know that it did. Not this time. I think this time was too much. Back to back, feeling rejected by her friend, her best friend, her good friend, of years that stays here for whole weekends, and they have fun, slumber party type fun, and she really wanted her friend to come down and cheer her up cheer us up. I overheard her leaving a message, so I know Laura and I are really, really upset about Omar. The friend already knew about Omar. We really, it'd be really nice. You could come down, cheer us up, cheer Laura up. That's what my mom was saying, too, to her friend. Who's a genuinely nice person. You can't get my mom to understand when she's sick, but I know her friend still loves her. Her friend has her own problems and is mentally ill herself, you know what I mean? Is childlike herself and probably just feeling overwhelmed and had the friend come down, would my mom have not had to be in the hospital? Probably. If the friend's like calming presence, then, I think if the friend had come down that things would have turned out differently. And that's what I'm hoping, that the doctors, the doctor or whatever, you never just with a doctor, there's other people involved, social workers and whatnot in hospitals and mental hospitals, Some of you remember I've had so many problems with them too. Too many. Write a fucking book. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's quite possible. It would have nipped it even if my mom's still all depressed over Omar and whatnot, and trying to do things to cheer herself up. There's no cheering me up, but it's possible if her friend had come down, my mom would not have wound up hospitalized. None of that. It all happened after that. It didn't happen after Omar died in our arms, essentially, unexpectedly, and we don't know why. There's no explanation. So we can only guess. Vet can guess. Oh, it was, it's likely a cardiac event or something else. Because you have no clue. We have no clue. There was no indication. It was got nothing building up to it. It could be anything. Like I said in the other video, it could be anything. We're never going to know. Okay? But you're damn straight, the unknowing part is going to really, really, really negatively impact both me and my mom. Okay? I'm just, as I will admit, I'll say to any professional, I'll say to anyone, it would do the same thing, and it would happen with her and being rejected by her friend. I just won't have a psychotic break and end up hospitalized against my will. That's all. That's all. That's the only difference between us, okay? The same fucking things affecting my mom and landing her in the fucking hospital would do the same thing to me if that had been my friend, and is doing the same thing to me regarding our baby just dying like that without any, in front of us. Where you don't know that he's dead. And that's traumatic, and screaming, and me screaming, and oh, mama, what's in it, and just, oh my God. No, there's tons of things stuck down there. The whole fucking solid ice there. I don't know how long it will take to thaw out. That's why I said I can cook the meat. These are my favorite things. These I love. I love these. I get these, and I walk, have my music in my ears, eating my popsicles on hot days, my healthy popsicles relatively, they're non-GMO. They're still not good for you. They're still loaded with sugar, but they're at least, they're not bad, okay? I got 2 different kinds, lemon and tangerine. I ate all the lemon, I still have tangerine left. But yes, we are definitely going to try to do that. Get that ice down at the bottom out. Sound good? I'll probably film myself doing that. But I don't know how long it will take to thaw everything out, and if the meat thaws, I need to cook it, not put it back in the freezer. So there's not much meat there. Hence the reason, no grocery store order. I'll eat what's here. I'll eat what is here. Whatever's here, believe me. I've been having shakes. I'll eat what's here. That's all. Eat what's here. Okay, now I've got one of these. That's good. Choke on your own spit, Laura. Got 1 minute left. So yeah, it's likely. Tons of people are definitely speculating, but the family doesn't want to tell. They don't have to. They do not. They're not obligated to share with the world how they're, the person that their mom that they love, the kids. That we don't have to tell you how she died. Maybe they eventually will tell the world. Who knows? Right now, they want to grieve in peace. They want to be left alone. They respect. They want privacy. Understandably. Right? Understandably.